Thank you very much, Theresa, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel very privileged standing here in front of you today. For a girl coming from rural South Africa, growing up on a farm, and then got the opportunity to go study and eventually work in Switzerland, all the way to Mexico. Thank you for having me. And all your colleagues, the ones I've met so far, have been asking me, so how am I experiencing Mexico? I just want to say you have a lovely country, and I love it. It reminds me a lot of South Africa. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's start the day. Before I tell you more about what I do on a daily basis and more about the school and the company I work for, let's look at the importance of design in hospitality. So if you research a little bit with regards to hotels and hotel offerings, as you can see, there are many to choose from. If you just look at booking.com, they have close to 2.5 million rooms on sale. So how do hotels manage these days to keep abreast of the competition? Because of course the competition is stiff. So they have to constantly think of what they're offering, how they're offering it, to whom they're offering it, and how can they stay ahead of the competition. So let's look at a quick video. Just give me a second. So, from Australia on one side of the world to Atlanta. So, by reflecting on those two video clips that you just saw, what did you notice? What was evident in those images that you saw? Who would like to share with us?
Everything was neat and perfect.
Neat and tidy. As we expect when we pay to stay in a hotel. What else? Yes?
There's always a space for business and another one for vacation.
Yes, so that you can see it's evident some of them focus on different types of the target market, segments of the target market. What about the visual appeal of each space?
Modern.
Modern.
Comfortable.
Comfort is important. Were they all the same? Did they all look the same? No, definitely not. I can recall when I was a little girl, and not so long ago, that if we would visit a specific hotel brand in South Africa back then, if you go to the hotel brand in one city and you visit in another city, and perhaps a third city, the hotel looks exactly the same in all the cities I would visit. At the moment, the days of having cookie cutter design concepts for hotels has long passed. The uniqueness of the design of each hotel plays a very important role in the choice which your prospective clients would make as well. Hello. So it's evident that for us as users of hotels, we are actually spoiled for choice. There's so much to choose from. And how do we choose which one we'd like to visit? On the other side for hotels, to make sure that they survive in the business world, how do they keep giving us what we need as consumers and users of the hotels? But not just only survive, but also thrive. How do they do better and bigger in the end to attract even more customers and excel from the competition? So it's evident that for hotels to stay abreast in the business world, they constantly have to do research. Research about trends out there, research about user needs, and then look at how they can market this in order to attract the customer to their facility. I can share this with you quickly. Recently, a colleague of mine decided, she's a mom of a young toddler, and she wanted to go on a nice holiday, a vacation. She came back and she shared this with me. She said that they were very excited about booking their holiday. So I had a look online, and eventually the hotel that appealed most to them was the one who had a strong Instagram following, who posted really lots of updates on a regular basis, whose website was very easy to navigate, and of course for her also location was important, price, and different types of activities to keep the kid happy as well while on vacation. So soon after she had booked the hotel, she received a link through an app from the hotel to confirm the booking has been finalized. There was even more information. After a short while, she was sent more information, and they said that she was entitled to some additional discounts. A few days later, they sent her some photos of the local area surrounding the hotel, the vicinity of the hotel. She could then scroll through it and either like or dislike some of the images that they sent her. And then based on what she liked, the app sent her more information about personalized activities, suggesting that based on her likes and dislikes, which places she should perhaps visit during her stay at this hotel. The next day, they even sent her some options to choose some tickets, and they could purchase this ticket. She could purchase it online without having to search for it because the hotel had sent it to her already. The day after, they sent her some information about very popular restaurants within that facility, and also the opportunity to make some reservations at the restaurants. And the next day, she was sent an update with regards to the weather, what the weather would be like during her stay, and even suggesting what to pack. Need an umbrella, need something warm, bring some sunscreen, in case she had forgotten about thinking of packing those items. When she arrived, she was greeted through a welcome notification on her smartphone. She checked in via an app, and to make it even better, as they approached the guest room, there was a virtual image of a teddy bear escorting them through the passage until they reached their final destination, their guest room for their stay. And then, of course, there was no key. She took her smartphone and she unlocked the door, and then they entered. Once in the room, she could again use the in-room app, or the app that she had, to personalize the room experience. From changing the artwork on the walls, closing or opening the curtains remotely, temperature control, request extra toiletries, room service, control the television, and even arrange a wake-up call through using her app. All of this, of course, built lots of excitement. By the time they entered the room, the kid was so excited she could hardly contain herself. And of course, the mom thought, oh, look at this. They thought about everything, even what she had not thought of before. So whoever designed that hotel started off thinking, how would the guests experience the stay in our hotel? And how can we use technology these days, which plays such an important role in our lives, to engage our user or the hotel guest in this overall experience? This experience left my friend feeling as if she was in control of what, when, and how she wanted to do things. A very clever concept which created lasting memories, and according to my friend, she would promote this hotel wherever she goes, and she would definitely visit it again. So what did this hotel do well and differently? Basically, they were thinking of transforming the guest experience. In the hospitality world these days, this word, guest experience or customer experience, is one of the most important words. So, just remember again, you might hear sometimes I talk about guests and customers. A guest is a person who pays to sleep in your hotel, whereas a customer can be someone who doesn't sleep there but uses other facilities in your hotels, whether from meeting and event spaces, conferences, restaurants, other types of events as well. So it's important for any hotel company, when they want to focus on a specific target market, to ask these basic questions. And you know these questions apply to all types of businesses. Who is your guest? When will they be arriving? What would they like to experience? Where would we house them? And how are we going to do it? So today's customers basically want, and basically expect as well, much more of each stay. They don't want to just arrive at the hotel, sleep there. They want to have a unique experience. Therefore, the hoteliers of today have to turbocharge those experiences and turn those needs of the customers into driving loyalty and repeat business. So it's evident that if you have great experiences, your customer would return to your property. Or if they can't return themselves, they would always promote it via social media or by word of mouth. And return business, of course, brings us increased revenue. So the challenge is to find and meet those user needs and differentiate your brand from the ever-changing marketplace and the competition. Finding something very unique which you can offer, which the competition has not thought of yet. So always look for something unique to offer your guests, because the guest or the customer is always searching for something unique. Think of how you're going to win, not just win, but also retain your guest preferences. Hotels should be more thoughtful about how people and technology actually weave and are integrated in creating that really authentic hospitality experience. So how do we stand out from the crowd? Is there anyone perhaps in front of me at the moment who could tell me of a very unique experience you recently had at a hotel? Let's do it like this. Who can share with me one very good experience and a bad one as well? Let's start with the bad experience. No? I could perhaps share one with you. So a year ago, my husband, we decided to treat each other on our wedding anniversary celebration, and we went to Nice for the weekend. Now, living in Switzerland, very central, so it's easy for us to quickly commute to another country for a weekend. So we went to Nice, booked a really nice hotel, had a great few days in Nice, and the day when we checked out, we were waiting for our transport. So, tried to travel very light, which is difficult for me, as I like to pack lots of clothes and handbags and hats and you name it. But anyway, we only had hand luggage that weekend. So, as we were waiting at reception for the transportation, we had our one trolley, and on top of it another bag, which clipped into the trolley. And we had put it against the desk of the receptionist. And she told us, she said, oh, you can take a seat while we are waiting. And as we wanted to take the luggage, she told us, no, please, just leave it here. She'll take care of it. And we can go and relax. And as we sat down and basically sat and observed, she took the bag and she put it against another wall. And it actually fell over. And the handle hit the wall. And it basically bent. I could see how it bent. You could hear it as well. And we thought, oh my word, our bag is gone, basically damaged. Stood up, went, and she said, no, don't worry. She'll call maintenance and they will come and fix the bag for us. So maintenance arrived. They took the bag to the back of the house area, came back, and at the time the transportation arrived as well. Took the bag and said, look, sir, it's working. We took the bag, got into the car, and of course once we were dropped at the airport and we wanted to use the bag as normal, as we pulled it out, it just split in half again. Needless to say, the bag was broken. Okay, got on the plane. Next day we wrote an email to reception and the manager as well, general manager. The email that came back, and we were not aggressive at all, we just said this happened and unfortunately it is broken. Just wrote back, sorry, the receptionist told us they fixed the bag. That was the answer. Okay. So, even though I had a great experience during my stay in general at the hotel, and Nice was a memorable experience, all I remember about our trip and the experience at this hotel was that incident of the bag. Well, of course, we didn't leave it there. We wrote back again and said, but unfortunately your bag is broken. You can ask the driver as well. 2 weeks later, they still had not responded. So we just sent them a reminder. After which 2 weeks later, the general manager wrote back, at least, and said, okay, just go buy a new bag, send us the receipt, and they will refund us. It is now a year and a few months later, and they have still not refunded us. So obviously, my idea of this hotel is really bad. So that experience had distracted from my overall experience at this hotel. Well, they don't know yet, but in 2 weeks' time, I'm going back to Nice, and I'm going to go drop the bag there for them, and I will wait until they refund me. But anyway, I will go show them the bag is indeed broken. But just an example of a really bad experience. Whereas a very good experience, a few years ago, we also visited another hotel. It was my birthday, and as the ladies know by now, I love food. So perhaps during my birthday celebration, I also had too much and perhaps too many rich pieces of food to eat, and I had a really upset tummy. So, a few days later, I just could not recover from this. We were in Cape Town at this hotel, and we actually had a booking at a restaurant the evening. I told my husband, I won't survive. If I just smell food, I want to die. So we had to cancel our booking, and we stayed in the hotel. We ordered room service, so he could still have his nice meal. And he told me, but I have to eat something. Although I didn't feel like it, but let's try. So we ordered some soup. It was great, delivered in a really nice way. It looked good, it smelled good. Opened it, and as I tasted it, there was nothing wrong with it. But because I felt ill and there was cream in that soup, it just felt, I'm going to be sick again. Needless to say, I just left it. He had his meal. And when they returned to collect the dishes, the lady who collected it had a look and she saw, I hardly tasted or ate anything of the soup. And she asked me, is there a problem with the soup? I said, definitely not. Even my husband tried some of it. I said, I think it's wonderful, but I'm not feeling too well. Unfortunately, I can't have it. I removed it. 5 minutes later, the executive chef called me from the kitchen to tell me, I've heard you're not well. I'm sending up some chicken broth, and I'm sure you're going to feel much better afterwards. They did not charge me for it. They didn't have to do it. But they had that empathy, that feeling of, how would I feel, or how would she feel if she was in the position? So she sent me something at no additional charge, and it made me feel so much better. And I always share this story, because that is added value. That's a great experience. And I will always promote that hotel wherever I go in the world. And so there are many examples of really good examples and really bad experiences as well. But if you have good experiences, you would always stay loyal to that specific hotel. And hoteliers have to understand that. This word is also very key at the moment in the business world and the hospitality industry. So who can help me? If you can define innovation, how would you describe the word innovation? So let's ask the students who are in my class, who I spot over there. Tell me, where does innovation start? With which word? Starting with a C. Creativity. It starts with creativity. I just forgot for a second there. Creativity. We had such a nice creative activity in class the other day that I forgot actually what the purpose behind the theory was. But anyway, creativity. It starts with a good idea. But it remains an idea unless you take that idea and you develop it, design it, commercialize it, implement it. And then in the end, if it's a true innovation, it has value for the consumer or the user, the customer, and then also value for the business itself. So innovation. Which of you had watched the movie The 100-Foot Journey with Helen Mirren? A few of you. It's one of my favorite movies. At some stage, the chef goes to this restaurant where he's going to work in Paris, and the manager or owner walks him through this area, and he tells him, "Welcome to the Beast." The restaurant is seen as a beast, and he asks him this question, "And how do we feed the beast?" And the answer was innovation, innovation, innovation. Always thinking what we offer, how we offer it, but how we can offer it in a different way, so that it has perceived value for the client, but also financial value for the business owner. It is one thing to say you're running a successful business. It's one thing to say that you have a really well-designed space, the aesthetics, the visual appeal of any hotel. When we walk into a hotel, what we see, what we smell, what we hear, if we go taste the food, it's important. Different textures, even just by looking at different textures without even touching them. That applies to the human senses. If you can satisfy the 5 human senses in a positive way, that creates a unique experience. So the visual appeal of a space, the physical design of a space, plays an enormous role. But you can have the best designed hotel physically, even the best website to initially attract your guests, and then the space is visually designed perfectly well. But if you forget that you are working with people and their emotions, that design will not contribute to the overall experience of the guest. So remember, at the heart of hospitality lies the way that you work with people and their emotions. Never forget that. So actually, any hotelier who wants to be successful must think about how and where and when we place people first as our main goal in hospitality. At the heart of the hospitality establishments who are successful lies the human-centered approach. Always focus on people. You can have well-designed spaces, but if the service distracts from that, as I explained with regards to the trolley bag, then of course it has a bad effect on me and my overall experience will be ruined. Let's have a look quickly at another video. So this video is all about empathy. Empathy is how we can relate to how other people feel. When we can put ourselves in their shoes. And based on that, then you make an informed decision on how you make people feel.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Theresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think that empathy is this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, "I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed." And then we look and we say, "Hey, I'm down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone." Sympathy is, "Ooh, It's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." I had it, yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. At least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So, just to make this more practical about empathy, I'll give you a good example. We have a collaboration at our school with the design and innovation vice president of design and innovation and branding, basically, of the Hyatt Group. He's based in Chicago, and he comes out to our school twice a year to come co-teach with me on the design program. And based on this word empathy, how would you feel if you're in the shoes of a guest? Let's make this applicable to the hospitality world. He shared this example with me. The Andaz Hotel, which is one of the brands of the Hyatt Group, they opened a hotel in Hawaii a few years ago. Well, if you look at this hotel or this resort, it's absolutely amazing. Visually, the location, what they offer, it's a top-notch resort, and you would have a great experience there. But there was a certain segment of that experience based on the type of clientele and stakeholders who said, based on their research, that there is something that distracts from this experience. Now, normally if you would fly from certain parts in the US and you would arrive the first flight in the morning, you would arrive really early in Honolulu. Then once they arrive at the hotel, it would be still, let's say, 9 o'clock. Normally check-in time would only be after 2, 3 in the afternoon. Now, since it's a resort, often families with kids would arrive there, and often young toddlers as well. So when these families arrive at the hotel, they are told, sorry, you have to go sit somewhere, have a drink at your own expense, and wait until it's time to check into your room this afternoon. What they would normally do, they would tell them, here's a complimentary bottle of water for each of your family members. Now, please go sit there and wait. That the water has perhaps been seen as sympathy. You sympathize that it's hot and they can't go into the room, and you give them something cool to drink, you've done your job. Now they wait. Whereas empathy, which they then thought, let's redesign this and see how we can't just sympathize, but how we can empathize. So what they did is they then took a few rooms and they converted them into more like a communal space. And they had shower rooms. So for those early arrivals, they then could use this space where they could take a shower, they could change the nappies of the little ones, they could feed the kids. There's like a small communal little kitchen as well. There are snacks available, comfortable couches, co-working spaces, toys for the kids. And during that time, the family can be accommodated and not just sit outside in the sun. They still get their water, but now they also feel comfortable within that space. Because what the designers thought was, how would we feel if we arrive at this hotel with our family and told to sit outside and here's a bottle of water? So they changed that sympathy into empathy. And now they have raving reviews with regards to how they're taking care of their guests, because they understood this empathy part of the hotel experience. So the hospitality industry also has to rely on well-designed and maintained facilities, as we earlier said. Hospitality managers will also consult with design ideas and planning to coping with renovation. So at my school, we teach hospitality, as many students are studying at the moment. But in 2012, we decided to make something unique of this course, and we added design to it. But that design, as you would have heard by now, is not just the physical design of the space. Yes, we do that as well. We actually teach our students how to plan like architects almost in a way as well. But more about that a little bit later. But we actually teach our students design management. We teach them with the emphasis on designing the guest experience. The whole experience. Because design, as many people see it, is just the physical space. But you have to design the whole guest life cycle. And more about that a little bit later. However, design starts with functionality first. So aesthetics would mean how the place looks like, but functionality, how the space works. Thinking of how people will use the space, the flow of people. How we have to lay out the furniture within that space to complement the flow. And remember, it's not just about the guest. It's also about your workforce. They must also use the space. So there are very many decisions that you have to make to plan a space. But also, it always starts with functionality. It has to work first before you jazz it up to make it look prettier as well. And if you are a future hospitality manager, remember you will physically, unless it's your own and you have a really great interest in design, you will not really get into the physical redecoration or redesign of a space involved in it. But as the manager of a hotel facility, a hospitality facility, you will be involved in the decisions to be made. Meaning at some stage there will perhaps be a renovation. The design team will come in based on the client brief that you gave them and can show you some mood boards and say, let's change the color of the walls, let's put in a different floor. What about the furniture? What if we have mirrors on that wall and there's so much bright light that it blinds everyone within the space? Then you as a hotel manager who studied design will fully understand to be able to tell them, perhaps that's not a good idea. Or perhaps the space is so small, if we paint the ceilings black, it will feel as if that black ceiling is going to fall on our head soon. So you can make informed decisions with the design team, because ultimately you as the manager will sign off this project and you will pay them. Once the design team leaves, you sit with the problems which they had actually inflicted upon you, because you could not tell them what will work and what not. So there's great value in studying design management as part of your hospitality degree, because you can make informed decisions about designing the physical space, but in addition to that, also the overall guest experience. When it comes to guest needs, as we said, there are various needs. Many hotel guests are attracted first by the visuals of the space. But guests are paying a lot of money for their stay, and therefore comfort, as one of you mentioned earlier, is also important. And the ambience, that whole atmosphere within the space, is also important. And throughout the duration of the hotel business, you must make sure that your facilities are also well maintained at all times. You provide facilities, hotel facilities or hospitality facilities provide services and products to clients or customers. But don't forget, part of that human-centered design approach is not just about the guests, it's also your workforce. Sir Richard Branson always says that let's take care of our employees first, because if we take good care of our employees, they take good care of our customers. Now, this is also important when you design a space. Don't just think about how the guests will experience your hotel. Think about the back of the house areas. If you also design those areas well, and your employees feel as if, wow, this is inspiring. Look, they had taken good care of us as well. It would motivate them even more. I have another example here. A few years ago, we had a student who did an internship at a hotel in Madeira. She was offered a really nice management training position and very excited about the opportunity. About 2 months into this, I think it was a 6 months contract, she sent us some pictures and said she's so fortunate and privileged to be able to be a part of this nice hotel group, to learn a lot, but she just wanted to share her workspace with us, where she had to work in an office. She had a tiny little office, around about this narrow and up to here. in that corner, she was sitting here at a tiny table. There were shelves here of some supplies, and in that corner was the recycling bins of the work area, the back of the house area. So while she was working, all staff came in there to recycle their rubbish. It smelled, it was noisy, it was dirty, and that was her space to sit. When she did address this, though, with her superior, the person just asked her, "It's normal, no one else complained, you want to have the job or not?" So what happened? Our poor student decided to resign, and we found her another job. Because that little space in which she had to work on a daily basis did not motivate her at all. It distracted from the positive of learning became a negative because of the physical space as well. It's important to think of what you provide to your staff members, the area in which they have to work. So think about great facilities for them as well. Another example is a hotel who decided to renovate their lobby area. So if this was the reception desk, the designer decided he's going to do this all in stainless steel. Fit in well with the contemporary design scheme. It looked great. It reflected light. It opened up the space. However, what would happen if a guest arrives, checks in, and they touch the stainless steel? What would you see? Fingerprints. So the next guest comes in and says, "Oh, look how dirty. It's full of fingerprints." So the poor receptionist had a dust cloth, and every time there was no one close by, her job was to polish this. Or sometimes if housekeeping would pass by and they saw a fingerprint, they constantly had to polish the stainless steel desk. How demotivating. Because they already had their other job, they already were overworked, and then they still had to polish a shiny desk the whole time, just because it was the wrong type of material which they used. And it was demotivating for the staff. If you design a restaurant, and you don't think of where would the service team enter the restaurant when they come and serve the clientele, and where do they exit? Or people walk into each other, or the tables are too close to each other, or it's a noisy floor surface, and if people walk on there it makes such a noise. Think about all those aspects, because you can make the right choices. If you have the wrong floor covering in an area where people have to be on their feet the whole day, it can actually cause injury. Whereas if you choose the right floor covering, perhaps a resilient floor which carries the weight and bounces it back into your body, then your feet don't feel as tired at the end of the day. So there are great choices to be made, and choices which can also support your employees and motivate them to do even better and more as well. So if we look all over the world, there are unique facilities. Many of these facilities have established themselves as recognizable brands. You can just look at a picture of a specific interior and you immediately know what hotel brand this image belongs to. Like this one, for instance, the Citizen M in Bankside in London. So, are you familiar with Citizen M? Have a look when you have a minute in your free time. Go have a look at Citizen M hotels. Their emphasis is a lot on the millennials and millennial-minded individuals. Don't forget, and I remember the students laughing in class when I told them that back home, when our students often talk about design concepts, they say they focus on millennials. And I say, so do you want to tell me, because I'm older than that age group, that I don't like to have an experience like this? And then they say, oops, we never thought about that. In your mind, although age is a number, in your mind you can perhaps also like what the younger stakeholders would enjoy. But Citizen M really thought about this concept, and they offer something which is unique, a millennial mindset approach with lots of communal spaces. They've taken away the traditional check-in desk. They have like a few managers, guest managers, and they approach you and you check in online. All the rooms in these facilities are exactly the same. There are not different categories of rooms, but they focus mostly on communal spaces, like having a library lounge area, having an area where you can prepare food, having theaters, having art exhibitions, locals coming in to do art exhibitions, or perhaps presentations as well on very topics of any types of topics in the area as well at that given point in time. So Citizen M. Then we move on to this one. This hotel, most probably one of my favorites when it comes to visual appeal, is the Andaz Hotel in Amsterdam. Now, I'm going to tell you more about this hotel soon. The Andaz Hotel in Amsterdam Andaz means personal style. So this is a good example. If you look at the Andaz brand, you will see that their hotel design concepts are very unique and often tells a local story. It likes to tell you the story of the area in which this hotel is located. So since this one is located in Amsterdam, think about the Dutch quickly and their history. Think how they explored parts of the Far East many years ago by getting onto their big ships or boats and going all the way past the south coast of Africa, then to areas India, Japan, China, Indonesia, Malaysia. They had trade and got some influences back from the Far East, brought that back, stopped in where we have Cape Town today, traded with some of those wares that they got from the Far East, and then from there they went back to the Netherlands. When they arrived back to the Netherlands, they would stop at this port city called Delft. Are you familiar with Delft or Delft Ware? Delft Ware is when they unpacked their products which they traded in the Far East, often amongst those products you had blue or white Asian inspired pottery, so plates with blue and white paintings on it. When they unpacked in Delft, the locals just loved it and they said, oh, we want more, we also want products like these in our houses. But of course they couldn't go back to Asia so often to collect it. It would take many months to do that. Delft, the city, was a pottery city. So of course they used those influences from the Far East and they started designing their own take on this. So basically they designed blue and white Asian inspired crockery, of which they found the ideas in the Far East, but they designed it locally. And today if you visit the Netherlands, most of the mementos that you would perhaps buy or see in shops would have a little bit of blue and white Delft inspired patterns on it. So that's one of the parts of the history of the Dutch culture, Delftware. They explored by ship. The ladies, the women in the Netherlands, part of their craft and their traditional crafts is lace. I'm just looking at you, have a nice lace piece there on your top. They did it by hand. So of course that's one of their local crafts. So in their story that they like to tell in their hotels would often be the influence of the Delftware, blue and white, you would see quite often. Or perhaps they take lace as inspiration for wallpaper. Or they take lace as a lampshade. And when you enter this hotel, you see the story of the Dutch and how they explored the world. So that's a big trend at the moment. It's about that local flavor, how you can infuse that local flavor into your hotel. It's also making you proud of what you have to offer. And this is a really good example of it. The designer of this hotel is probably one of my personal favorites as well. It's called Marcel van der. It's a very famous Dutch designer. And of course, we can look at many other examples. The Ritz in Paris, now you're talking upper class. This is very exquisite and very unique. And of course, they focus on another type of stakeholder. And therefore, their experiences and what they offer would be a little bit different than what you've seen at the previous hotels. So ultimately, it's all about customer experience. You have to redefine the end user experience. You have to infuse emotion and create that sense of place. Sense of place, exactly what Andaz Amsterdam has done. It feels like you walking into the history of the local environment. Always think what is to come next. What would the new generation like to experience? Now, earlier I mentioned millennials, millennial-minded. The next generation, Generation Z or Z, they have other needs again. For them, it's all about at the moment, Instagrammable moments, memorable experience as part of that. So what do hotels do now? Focus on Generation Z. They use influencers, Instagram influencers. Perhaps not a famous person, a celebrity, but a normal person who has a lot of following on Instagram, and they get them to market their hotels. They create Instagrammable areas within their hotels. And Generation Z, also Z, likes to experience the local flavor even more. So what they perhaps do is, except for the physical space for which they're designed to be very influential and appealing to the younger crowd, They also get locals to do some cooking lessons with them, or art classes, or sewing classes, to get them more interactive within that space as well. So the challenge these days for hoteliers is to create those tailor-made experiences. Something which is different, something which the competition hasn't thought of, and something that would attract your specific target market. It's important to have what we call purposeful design. Design the whole space and the whole environment based on a specific purpose. What you want to achieve, where you're going to achieve it, when would you like to achieve it, and how will you achieve it. So, this author, Schaeffer, said that the purpose of design is more closely linked to strategy, what we want to achieve, than aesthetics. So at first, you first have to ask yourself, what do we want to achieve, before you think of how are we going to create the space in which we are going to achieve that. Design is the process of deliberately creating while thinking it's about the objective, the purpose, the function, financial aspects as well, socio-cultural factors, and then aesthetics. So again, many people think that if they come study with us, we're going to focus only on the aesthetics. That's only part of the guest experience. Yes, we teach you how to design the physical space, but we also teach you how to focus on all those other aspects. The design plays a very important role in a hotel. It influences the guest experience, and don't forget that poor design can distract from the guest experience. When I go to the next set of slides, I'll give you a good example of that as well. Okay, this was just an activity which I did. So if we think about the human-centered design, it's a process. It starts with observing or researching your client. Then thinking about what would they like to experience and anticipating what you can offer them. You have to research your client in order for you to understand what their needs are and how they will react to what you're offering them. And then always innovate. Seldom, actually almost never, an innovation is successful the first time. You will make mistakes along the way as well. But like in real life, they say that we learn from making mistakes. But have a dedicated innovation team who constantly research, see what is out there, and see how we can offer something unique to our guests as well. Basically, what we offer in a hotel is like an opera performance. If you go to the opera house, you might see this, wow, look at the space. The theater inside the opera house looks amazing. But without the performers on the stage, without correct lighting, without sound effects, without the performers being well trained to actually have a great performance, that whole visual design would not actually support the whole production in the end. So it's an opera stage. Think of it as the same as a hotel. The opera stage is the physical design of the hotel, but we need the people to perform. We need to know how to anticipate what the observer would like to experience within that space. And we call it storytelling or narrative design. These days, hotels, narrative or storytelling turns hotels into platforms for local exploration, bringing visitors into dialogue with the locals and the history, culture, and the community of the area. As I mentioned earlier, many hotels are focusing on the uniqueness of the cultural environment in which they are located. And they tell that story of the local culture as well. So narrative design is very important. People don't just come to a hotel to eat there or sleep there. They rather come there to connect with the locals, to become ambassadors of all things local as well. It's more about just staying at the hotel or a star-rated property. It's all about purchasing experiences. And you have to offer those immersive hotel spaces where people, your clients, feel like they are really part of what's happening in the city. Move away from those one-size-fits-all type of concepts. Offer something very unique. So again, the emphasis on human-centered design, branding, interactivity are all very important pieces of the puzzle, which is called experiential design. People want to feel that they are experiencing something very unique within the space. Create those connection moments, those moments where they feel that they connect. Design places a lot of emphasis on human needs and get people to be more engaged within the space. And translate it also, if it's well engaged spaces in which your employees work as well, they feel more productive and more motivated, and then it's transferred to the user as well. So human-centered design. If you are interested in this, go read a little bit more about it. There's so much to learn about how we design spaces to get people feel as if they are part of that space and part of the local community as well. So of course, we should never forget, when we think about design, also think about hospitality trends. A trend basically translates to what is trendy or fashionable at a given point in time. Now, every year, if you go Google and you look at hospitality design trends 2017, 18, 19, they differ. Or sometimes some of them repeat themselves. I always say it's like fashion, clothing, it never goes out of fashion. Perhaps for 1 or 2 seasons or a few years even, but eventually it comes back as well. So always be aware of the trends. It doesn't mean you have to follow trends the whole time. No one can afford anyway to change the hotel concept or design every year based on forecast of trends. But it's important to be aware of trends. I remember we have various collaborations with designers, interior designers and hotel designers who come to our school. And when the students ask them, so ma'am, sir, do you follow trends? What do you think they would answer? They are very famous interior designers. If we ask them, do you follow trends? They tell us, no, we set trends. Well, I suppose that's the correct way of saying it. Of course they set their trends, but they constantly research and go look at trends, because if they're not familiar with the current trends, they don't really know in which direction to go to set a new trend in the future. So be familiar with trends. Some of the trends at the moment is still the trend of locality, getting people infused in the local culture. Don't forget about robotics and AI at the moment. So let me show you something. Let me just find it quickly. Here we go.
How can a single bracelet clean the ocean?
4 of
Konnichiwa. Do you speak English? No. Okay, well, let's try the next receptionist, who turns out to be a dinosaur. And he does speak my language.
welcome. Welcome to the Industria Hotel.
At least, I think he does.
Thank you for your visitors. Your name on the postcard, on top of the fill in the phone number. Please put us to the bottom of the post. Please press to proceed with the send to.
Did you get that then? I think I did.
Please move to the right touch panel and check in.
That was perfect English. Well, after my animatronic introduction, the next thing to do is scan my face. I'll tell you why in a second. Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is the first robotic hotel based in, it's called Hena. I think it's in Nagasaki in Japan. And it's manned purely by robots. Actually artificial intelligent robots, or humanoid robots. And that's a big trend in certain parts of the world. What is your opinion? Which of you would feel welcome if you go to a hotel like that? I see most of you no. Because what do you miss? What would you miss then? The human connection. That thing has no emotion at all. And that empathy is exactly, that's missing. It continues. There's even a robot that takes your luggage, but there are a few issues here. It goes so slow that you have to walk like this behind it to eventually get to your room. Once you arrive at the room, there's facial recognition to open the door. There's another little robot that actually switches on the lights and closes the curtains, etc., etc. Why does it work in Japan? This is very popular in Japan. Because the Japanese, yes?
Because the Japanese are not looking into that human connection?
Yes, they love robots. For them, this is the future. Okay? But most people, research has shown that still people prefer that human connection. Perhaps this is a nice quirky concept, and perhaps you go there once just to say, I've experienced it. But most probably this would not be a memory that you would want to go and return to each and every time. Again, many examples, and there's lots of debates going on at the moment with regards to the future of hospitality business and robots as well. Personally, I still believe that we need that empathy and the human touch as well. So, also when it comes to hospitality at the moment, not just a trend, but also a very important aspect which we can no longer neglect is sustainability. How our normal business impacts on the natural environment. Because I always say we don't have a plan or planet B. We only have one planet, and we have to take care of it. And we have to think, how does our business impact on our environment? Thinking about water use, electricity use, materials which we use. Thinking about other types of materials to use in the place of plastic. And then the triple bottom line, also think about your corporate social responsibility, how your business impacts on the local community as well. So in the end, if you have satisfied customers with a great experience, it will bring you loyalty, and loyalty would always bring you return business, which of course as a business leader or owner, that's what you want to have, because it brings you increased revenue as well. So, just to stop off there, anyone has a question perhaps at the moment? So just quickly, because we're running a bit short on time, but I want to show you, just remember, when it comes to the guest life cycle, I said earlier that if you think about design, it's not just the physical space. That's part of design and the guest experience. There are many other aspects to think of, and design applies to all of these. It starts off with a dream. If you think you want to go on a nice holiday over Christmas time, you start thinking, where would I like to go? And you might have a specific destination in mind. Once you've decided, I want to go to New York, then you go online and you start searching. The design of the website is very important. It should be easy navigatable. It should look visually appealing. There should be updated information. As soon as I want to book a hotel and I find it difficult to navigate the website, I just close now to go find another one. The booking must be easy done. If it's complicated, I just leave it. Send information to prepare your guests. And that's what that first experience that I shared with you with my friend, that constantly immersed her in this experience. During the stay, think of arrival, what the hotel looks like, the guest room, the restaurant, thinking about the human senses and how those are all ticked in a positive way, and the service that you provide, and that empathy part. Make and create memories which they are willing to share. Your customer becomes your best marketing tool, because they talk and they share instantaneously, and in that way they see what's happening at the hotel. And don't forget, it doesn't just stop here. Follow up with your customer. Don't neglect that email that I sent about my bag that was broken by one of your staff members. Follow up. And even if there's a good review that a client had posted on booking.com or TripAdvisor, reply to that as a hotel manager and say, thank you for this. We look forward to your next visit. Or sorry about this, we'll immediately follow up and get back to you. And in that way, again, if it was a good experience, it creates loyalty. And loyalty brings back return visits, which of course sustains your business in general. It's all about immersive experiences. Research has shown us that guests want to feel familiar within a space, so it's important to do research about your guests. Know them, get them engaged, surprise them, give them power to use the space in the way that they want to. Listen to my reviews, know me, and make sure when I return that you offer something the same or even better than the previous visit. Narrative, I'm just going to skim over this because I've already addressed some of this. So, here's a good example. When it comes to hospitality design, remember it's the whole experience, we can look at these two examples. We make rational choices, and sometimes in life we make emotional choices. If a family, a small husband and wife and a child, wants to buy a reliable little car, there are different choices to make. Rationally, most would say perhaps this Audi, well, in Swiss francs, I think it costs about 35,000 Swiss francs. It's quite nifty, it speeds up quite fast. It uses less fuel than many other cars in the same category. It's very spacious. But if you ask and you do research, many people in that research and that group that they surveyed said that they would rather go for this one. The more instinctual or emotional choice. A car, which is not as fast actually as that one. It is not as spacious. It's more expensive. It costs 46,000 Swiss francs. However, of the people that they surveyed, a group of families, they decided they want to choose this one. Why? Because it looks so sweet. It looks as if I have status more when I'm in this one than that one. It actually looks even as if it's smiling at you as well. So it attracts the emotion. You feel like, oh, I think I'm going to enjoy this even more based on the visual design. And actually, that is what happens in hotel design as well. We play with emotions of our guests. Let's go back now to the same comparison based on hotels and what they look like. Can you just quickly, thank you, Roberto. So look at this, the same room category. This is a hotel which offers the same amenities as this one. However, the room space is much bigger. The bed is even bigger and more comfortable. It has more little guest supplies in the bathroom. Everything that you need is there. It's also much cheaper, even though it's bigger than this one. This one is the Andas that I referred to earlier. However, if you just look at this, the design of this one, it tells you the story of the Dutch and Amsterdam's history. Whereas this one, it's very comfortable, but there's no storytelling there at all. You don't feel as if you're part of something. You're just sleeping here. Here you can sleep, but you are immersed within that local culture and within that story. This hotel, to be honest, someone shared this with me as well, the guest lecturer recently. He said, when he went to this hotel, yes, it looks great, but Marcel Wanders, the designer, is all about aesthetics. Functionality is just another word that comes into play. If you look here, let's ask one of the gentlemen. If you would stand here shaving, what do you foresee any problem? Yes, firstly, this mirror is not rotatable. It's fastened like that. So if a guy shaves here and he wants to see where he's shaving, he has to step aside to see himself in the mirror. So the soap and the little fluff drops down here and not in the basin. Okay? There's a little chair here. So if you do your makeup, girls, you sit here, yeah, sure, it's fine. But if you want to do something here with water and use the mirror, you have a problem. So in this case, a very well-designed space, but functionality here was not thought through well. And there are many, many examples. Again, in this case, the survey done said that the majority would choose this one compared to that one, although you pay more and the room is much smaller. Again, because they're connecting with you with regards to your emotions. The Bulgari Hotel, also just a few examples quickly. The Bulgari Hotel in Milan compared to the Armani Hotel in Milan. So at the moment, it's also a very big trend to have co-branding. So many fashion designers are getting involved in hotel design. Because design, if you understand design, the elements and principles of design, you can design through various different types of hospitality. So they collaborate with fashion designers because that brings another segment of the market. So if you like the Bulgari brand, and if you visit Milan, you think, oh wow, since I love Bulgari, why not go to the Bulgari Hotel? Very clever co-brand. If you go to the Bulgari Hotel, it looks really great aesthetically. However, you seldom see people using the space. The communal spaces are all like individual parts which are not well integrated and connected. Whereas if you go to the Armani Hotel, there are always crowds within their public spaces. Because they thought of the design, the physical space, and also the movement of the people within that space. And then they had other experiences. They have free coffee stations, other performers, and there's an integration, immersion of the client within that space, whereas that one doesn't have it. Offer something similar, prices similar, But again, it's about that connection with people and what's happening and the experience in general. The Armani Hotel in Dubai is spectacularly beautiful. You go there, you enter. They're very clever. They had in the main entrance, they have the Armani boutique. So you can smell some of the fragrances. Already you're like walking into Armani. Everyone is dressed impeccably. The room, you are whisked off to your room and everything is done remotely. You'll check in and the services in the room and the amenities are great. However, a friend of mine told me that during the stay, he felt very uncomfortable. It's a very hot climate. One day he was on his way to a safari, a desert safari. Of course, he was dressed in shorts, sneakers, t-shirt. And after staying there for a couple of days already, in the reception, some of the staff members would come up to him to ask him, "Sir, are you actually staying in the hotel or not? Because if you're not, you shouldn't be here." He was already staying there a couple of days. Firstly, they did not recognize him. Sure, perhaps it's a big hotel and there are many guests, but still. The approach and how they made him feel was quite awkward. He said, "Yes, you can check, I'm in room 502. The next day he was going on another excursion somewhere. A different person came and approached him and asked him the same question. "Are you one of our guests? If not, please, you're not allowed here." How did it make him feel? Very awkward. Although it's a great visual design, or although they have great amenities and areas to use and utilize, that human approach was missing and distracted from his experience. So, remember, there's always this emotional connection, but the space also has to work well. Let's see. Okay. I can just quickly share this one example with you. In Istanbul, they decided to open almost like an American steak restaurant at some stage. So they actually got in a Swiss designer to design the space for the owner. However, after a while they realized that it was only up to 50% capacity. It was full up to 50% capacity. Because the problem with the designer was he did not research the target market. The target market of this restaurant was actually local Turkish consumers. And the culture in Turkey is very important. They like having shared tables. Big families coming in, sitting around a huge table and having lots of fun over food. The designer decided to have these small little tables and like a really more intimate atmosphere within that space. However, since it wasn't focused on tourists but the local market, it actually did not work. So the owner decided that they would get a new designer in to redesign the space, who understood the culture much better and created those offerings which are unique to the local culture. Yes, they still have steak on the menu, but that's not the main emphasis. They're focusing more on the local type of dishes, more spicy flavored dishes and more sharing dishes than the individual steaks. And at the moment, it's up to 90% that they have covers. So research always your target market and make sure you design it with a specific purpose in mind. Okay, so basically, that was a short introduction to design and the importance that design plays in hospitality. We cannot neglect design and the fact that we don't have to just focus on the visual design, but we have to focus on the whole guest experience. From igniting that interest in your hotel, through their stay, but also even after checkout and afterwards. Make sure that they always promote your hotel based on that great experience or return to your hotel as well, because that would keep your business viable and sustainable. But in addition to that, always research what is happening out there. What is the competition doing? What would my users like to experience? And always remember to have that empathy and the human aspect within your design choices that you make. So I hope this gave you a bit of an introduction. I can keep you busy for days on end, to be honest, with regards to design. I just had to pick and choose a few important aspects here. But I hope it gives you a bit of an introduction in the importance of design, and especially when you study to pursue a career in hospitality, that you can't go work in the hospitality world without understanding the importance of design. Good. Any questions, perhaps? No? But anyway, I'm still here afterwards. Yes, Veronica.
Can you talk a little bit more about your school, please?
Yes, I'm going to quickly give you some information about the school, please. Anyone else? Yes.
I studied at Escucha years ago, and now I'm studying architecture. I've been a restaurant manager for many years, and then I for companies as a personal manager for people working in the companies. And I had experience at Casa Cuervo, the tequila manufacturer.
Yes.
That they change all the facilities for the people who work there. And I was working with the architect. By the time I was telling him that we must think about the experience of the people working in the company, and we all the time we have the argument of no, things should be like this because the material, because the facility, because the decoration. He was always defending his project, and I was always thinking about the hospitality for the people who work there and for the people who came in. Now I'm studying architecture. Well, I'll go study 2 years more, but with my teachers, I always argue about we must think about hospitality, or we must think about functionality for people who work there. Because many times I say, we can put some facilities for people, and I was always say, but the people who works there and who's going to clean the room, they take 30 minutes, so she won't have the time to clean that specific design. No, that doesn't matter. That's the work. And I always argue with them. I always say that you must think of people who works there. You must always think of people who cleans that space. Because if you want to keep customers, you must keep things perfect every day. And it's very difficult to make them understand. So if you work in a hotel, I've never been in a hotel, but if you work in a hotel or in a restaurant, it's very interesting to try to make them think about that. Because architects always think they are solving people's necessities or needs. But they don't think in the people who cleans, they don't think in the people who work there, they don't think in the people who maintain the facilities. So it's interesting at the same time.
Yeah. It's very important. That's why if you would come study with us and I'll explain the program shortly, that's part of what we teach our students, is that remember also someone has to do their job. Make sure that they are able to do their job within that space. As I explained the stainless steel earlier, it makes the lives difficult of the housekeepers and reception. It all starts with, I believe, the innovation also applies to business practices and management practices. So if you have a hotel manager or the management team and they have an innovative approach and they create a culture of innovation, they would be able to listen to employees as well. And then ask the housekeeper, how do you experience the design within that room? The other day we went to a hotel in Mallorca and it was very nice. And I had to talk to housekeepers to hear how they experience in the space. And they said, when they recently refurbished the hotel, they actually asked them for input as well. And asked them, so the previous design, were there difficulties in the space or not? And based on that, they took their ideas into consideration as well. So it makes the employee also feel empowered and look, they listen to me. You should never underestimate also the opinions of the staff. And if you realize that they're not listening to you as an employee, then it demotivates you. And you can find another place where they can use your talent as well. So it starts with collaborative innovation as well. It depends on the culture of the group as well. You have really great innovative companies out there who do collaborative brainstorming sessions, not just with employees, but also the clientele, with suppliers, and they get ideas from all over, and then they use those ideas to come up with workable spaces as well. To go back would be the Armani in Dubai, that hotel. This is a perfect example of demotivating staff based on what you have to do within the space. So in the first few years of opening this hotel, in the guest bathroom, you would have your taps or faucets, and then there would be soap, and then there would be a little stone. Mr. Armani, as part of his design, he wanted a branded stone on the wash basin. But what would happen if you put soap and you wash your hands, if it was back in the days, it was not liquid soap or even liquid soap, and you put the soap back, then the bubbles and the water would spill on the soap. And then it leaves a little mark or pattern on the pattern on the stone. So of course the guests were complaining, these stones are constantly dirty. So what did he do? His solution was that the poor housekeeper, there was a housekeeper who had a trolley just full of stones. And her job was just to constantly replace the stones. How demotivating. In the first place, how heavy is that trolley? Or how many times do you have to go back to replenish the trolley? Because you can't have hundreds of stones on this trolley, you can't move them. It was demotivating. Well, after many years, eventually it got through to him that perhaps the stone has to be removed. So they removed the stone eventually, but that's how it started. But never underestimate the importance of the space and how it impacts on your staff members as well. And that's part of the importance of design. So to go back to this quickly, let me quickly go and find you the presentation about the school. Perhaps you can just switch it off there, thank you. So the school I teach at is called IHTTI School of Hotel Management. It's part of a group called the Swiss Education Group. Well, Switzerland, of course, is well known for hospitality schools. It's a very unique country with regards to the natural beauty that it offers. It has 4 official languages. We could almost add a 5th one, English already there as well, but I'm sure they don't like it if we say that now. It's been ranked #1 in the world on a regular basis as one of the places to live as well. And it really offers great opportunities with regards to health, safety, and really a prosperous future as well. So of course, hospitality plays a very big role within Switzerland, and then this specific company I work for is the biggest private hospitality provider in Switzerland. It's also taken into consideration that hospitality is the fastest growing industry in the world. It makes out 10.2% of the average global GDP. They say that the global travel and tourism industry employs roughly 300 million people. And I just read an article yesterday about Generation Z and how more and more of them would like to get involved in the hospitality industry as well. One job is added every 2.5 seconds in the hospitality industry. So it's one of those careers that you would know in the future, there would be a future for you within this industry. As I mentioned earlier, our school is part of a group, which is the biggest private hospitality provider in Switzerland. And we have over 111 nationalities across all the campuses. It's like the United Nations, to be honest. On an annual basis, we have close to 6,500 students enrolled, and I'll explain to you where we house all of them. Close to 70% would follow the bachelor in hospitality, 11.4 bachelor in culinary arts, and then we also have postgraduate diplomas and master's degrees as well. Of course, any school has to have added value, and therefore we have many industry partners, as you can see here a few. It's not just purely hotels. We have various other types of partners in order to add to that value. And we also have opportunities for students to be employed at these partners as well. So basically you come to Switzerland and you come to one of our schools to make sure that you are empowered to succeed in the hospitality industry in the future. So basically the group offers 5 different schools, currently spread across 7 campuses in various parts of the country. From Montreux, Caux, Le Bouvray on the Swiss Riviera, up to Lucerne, Brick, which is closer to the Italy, and then Neuchâtel. This is where my school, IHTTI, is currently located. So we have various industry and academic endorsements based on the different schools. As I said, we have HIM in Montreux, the Swiss Hotel Management School in Caux and Les Arts, and then we have Caesar Ritz spread across 3 campuses in Bouvray, Le Bouvray, Brick, and Lucerne, and then again IHTTI in Neuchâtel. The partnerships, we'll go into the partnerships specifically with regards to my school a little bit later as well. So again, each school, I'm just going to skim over the general slides after a short while, because I would like to emphasize more what we offer at IHTTI a little bit later. But yes, each school is very unique. Each school has its own unique brand, and we are diversified amongst different hospitality offerings in each specific school and campus as well. So at the Culinary Arts Academy, the emphasis is of course on culinary arts. And they also have collaborations with well-known companies. For example, the chef called Mr. Mosiman, the company called Mane, who's a fragrance company as well. Talking about senses, earlier we said the emotions which we connect to our senses. Can anyone recall a specific flavor and then it takes you back to a special memory? Jackie, give us an example.
I was listening to you. I was
thinking, and now it's gone. Okay, who else wants to share? There.
Maybe when it smells to air,
Yes.
That's just rain and everything.
Uh-huh. And it reminds you of?
When I went camping with my family.
Yeah, the specific experience that you have. Or perhaps a few years ago I went to Morocco and I went into this hotel and I smelled roses. And there were rose bouquets. And I went sniffed, but it wasn't as strong as the fragrance which I noticed. After day 2, I went and I asked them at reception. I said, no, they have little drops, small drops of essential rose oil in the ACs. And therefore it permeates the whole building. It was a great experience the whole week in Morocco or Marrakesh. But every time after that, when I smell roses, in my mind I'm transported and I'm in that hotel and in Marrakesh again. So the importance of fragrance is very important also to connect people to this experience. And there we offer also collaborations with fragrance companies. And of course in all the schools there's also a wide variety of programs very suited for your future career. There's continuous investment in our facilities as well. There's a great community of alumni. So we have a really big basis of alumni students, and it's always good to use our graduates and then use them for future employment opportunities for current students as well. So this is Caesar Ritz, the culinary arts. And then of course, important to also bring in that legacy of Caesar Ritz into the classroom as well. There are great learning opportunities. They even run their own restaurant as well at this specific campus. You have a collaboration with them, so you should know exactly what they offer. At HIM in Montreux, they offer more business-oriented and luxury types of programs as well. This location is really great. It's right in the city center. There's a wide range of programs again, same as previous school that we mentioned. Focus on business in hospitality. They have collaborations with the watch company Tag Heuer, the Montreux Jazz Festival, and many other hotels as well. And they offer a wide range of master classes also. At IHTTI, then, we diversified ourselves by introducing design, as I mentioned, important. And I think this is really the future of hospitality, to understand the importance of design and in that whole guest life cycle. So really, Neuchâtel is a very creative, or the school itself is a very creative environment. I always say anyone who's interested in coming to study with us, don't worry, you don't have to be an artist. You just have to have a little bit of creativity. And every single human is born with creativity. Some people more than others, naturally. But it's one of those things, the more you use it, the better you become at it. So we teach you all the basics of design. It's like baking a cake. My favorite is a chocolate cake. If I bake a cake, I would firstly need what? A recipe. The recipe will tell me what to use. So the ingredients, the method, how to mix it, the temperature of the oven, and the duration. And then afterwards we jazz it up with a bit of decoration and icing. The same with design. If you come and study with us, you don't have to be an artist. I teach you the basics of design and my colleagues with me. And I teach you the recipe of design. If you understand the recipe of design, the theory of it, we practice it. We also have a design lab where we work together on design concepts. And we even go as far as having materials and you make your own mood boards. But that's just this physical design. As we said, we also look at design of business practices, design of being a good leader, design of being innovative, design of, yes, our students also do service. So our program that we offer is very diverse. We offer all types of hospitality modules, but there's always an emphasis of design within those modules as well. And then we have collaborations with Alesi. John Paul is a concierge company which is owned by the Accord Group. We have HPA, and I'll show you a little bit more, which is a design company as well. watch companies, and then Andas and Hyatt as well. And then we have another school spread over 2 campuses called the Swiss Hotel Management School. Initially, I studied at this specific school. I studied events management. And they have also lots of VIP banquets and events. In this school, they offer, of course, hospitality degrees, but there's a big emphasis on events and also on spa management and restaurants. They have also, they're the first school in the world to be called Apple Distinguished School. So they use, we actually made away with textbooks a few years ago, and we've issued each student with an iPad. So we use lots of apps to teach in that way as well through technology. And they've been awarded as the school who uses that really well and effectively as well. And there's really a lot of hand-on experience at that specific school as well. Our schools has also been constantly ranked in the QS ratings as some of the best and top hospitality schools in the world. There are different types of pathways, I would say, not pathways, but years of study that you can follow. You can arrive with us as a first-year student in all the schools when you do like 6 months or close to 6 months academic courses based on the type of program that you chose. After that, you go on a 6 months internship. You come back for second year theory again, then a 6 months internship, and then you can progress to your third year, after which you get a Swiss higher diploma within that specific framework of which you studied. You can also decide then to continue with after your third year of study, you can continue with your BA Honours degree, and then you can opt between third year and BA for another internship. Alternatively, you continue to BA Honours, and if you decide then to continue, you can also do a Master's, and perhaps you can even do an internship after that as well. Internships are very important to us. We have a dedicated team at each school who would find you an internship. Even afterwards, they help you to find permanent employment as well. And we also have what we call a career platform, where online you can connect also with possible employers. And we also have the International Recruitment Forum, which is a big event every semester in which recruiters from all over the world come to a centralized location, and our students go there for interviews. And many of our students are employed shortly afterwards at these companies as well. Of course, we also prepare our students well to go for interviews, so personal development is of utmost importance to us in order for you to be well employable after your studies with us. So, I've just mentioned this. Anywhere in the world, basically, we can find you a job. At the ILF for the recruitment forum, we have up to 100 or more companies coming there on a regular basis, with 330 basically recruiters, just over 4,000 interviews during the duration of 2 days, and there are various panel discussions as well. Many of our students, 5 years after graduating, up to 96% of our alumni work in the hospitality sector, and there are also alumni chapters all over the world, so we connect on a regular basis as well. Many of them open their own restaurants as well. As I mentioned earlier, this is just the Caesar Ritz, the culinary arts again, and you can get a little bit of a look at what the area is spectacularly beautiful as well. So, of course, I always say, being a student, we work hard, we study, but then we play hard afterwards as well. And of course, all these locations offer that to you also. Partnerships, we have great partnerships. This is Caesar Ritz itself. Their master's degrees are accredited by the University of Derby and other accreditations as well, which I mentioned earlier. Of course, each school has its own unique success stories of alumni, from opening their own businesses to leading big teams to working at hotels, airlines, etc. Just going to skim over this quickly. As I said, Caesar Ritz is located over 3 different campuses. Great facilities, great partnerships, success stories in each campus. HIM, the business school in Montreux, again, accreditations. They have American collaboration with American universities. ALA or ALE, the ICE, these are all accreditation bodies. Again, also great success stories with regards to their alumni. This is co-campus in SHMS, just above Montreux. How many students can say that they actually study and live in a palace, a Swiss palace? What is unique about our schools also, most accommodation is on campus, so the same building where you have your classes, you are also accommodated there. There's also some, depending on the numbers of the students, there are also options of outside accommodation as well. So this specific school is divided between two campuses, Les Arts and Co. Les Arts is further up in the mountains, but very unique. If you like skiing, most students do that after hours, but also hiking, good food, great nature, of course. And all of these campuses are quickly connected by train or other types of public transport to various other cities. Luckily, Switzerland is very small, so you quickly get on a train or a bus and quickly reach another city. And of course, the location of Switzerland within Europe makes it ideal as well. During your studies there, you can quickly go and visit another European city as well. So again, the facilities are great as well. Also, really great success stories. This boy, I remember when I looked at this, Gregor Mertz studied his postgraduate with us first, and then he decided to go do his master's at another school. So of course, you can also then decide to go to one of the other schools afterwards. Great partnerships as well. And then IHTTI. I'm very proud of this picture. This is my classroom, the design studio. So some of our collaborations, Jan is a very famous Michelin-starred chef based in Nice in France. Jan Hendrik is actually a South African. Now, it's the same as Mexico. You're not awarded, your restaurants are not awarded with Michelin stars yet, am I right? The same with South Africa. We have great food opportunities and experiences that you can have, but they haven't awarded, the decision hasn't been made yet to award South African restaurants with Michelin stars. So what Jan Hendrik also grew up on a farm in South Africa, always had this passion for design and food, and he thought, you know, I will be the first South African to get a Michelin-starred restaurant, but how will I do this? So after his studies, he went and found an internship first at the Elle magazine in Paris for 6 months. While he was there, he networked. So networking, you should never underestimate. He networked, got to know someone who had a yacht in the Mediterranean who was looking for a chef. And he said, well, he's willing to do that. And he started cooking on a luxury yacht. The owner of the yacht was so interested and amazed by his cooking skills that he said, why don't we collaborate? I support you financially, but you come up with the innovative ideas with regards to your food offerings. Let's open a restaurant in Nice. So initially they opened a small restaurant in Nice, and within 2 years after opening, he was awarded with his first Michelin star recently. So Jan Hendrik is a big attraction, not just based in the South African market, but also European market. And he's extremely busy. He has, again, that's why I say if you study hospitality, you have to broaden your mind. He focuses on food initially, but now he has recipe books. He has his own linen range, crockery range to be launched soon. He has a journal which he brings out twice a year. He has television programs. He takes people on custom designed holidays in Europe. It's just the start of his empire, basically. So what he also did, he's in a collaboration with a family in South Africa to open a restaurant which is called Klein Jan in the Kalahari, which is a very remote desert part of South Africa. And what was nice, he comes to our school twice a year. Irrespective of his extremely busy schedule, he always says there's time for IHTTI. So he comes to visit us, we have really hands-on experiences, interview with him, he challenges my students with some activities, and of course we challenge him as well with activities. And what was great, he was there 3 weeks ago, and after we had a few students in the class, he asked me, who's that student? Who's that one? What are they studying? And both of them were final year students. The next day he said, he liked their attitude so much. He doesn't really know much about their skills, but he trusts that we have trained them. But because they have the right attitude, the way that they are groomed, the way that they talk to each other and to him, their whole approach to others, he would like to offer them jobs. So we have 2 students. Just heard this morning, I got an email again from his PA to ask about finalizing one of our students' opportunities to go to South Africa and work for him as well. John Paul, as I said, is a concierge company. They have great clients from American Express, UBS, Apple, and then celebrities and wealthy individuals as well. They come to my class as well. I also teach this module, and they co-teach with me for 8 hours during this. It's a 9-week module as well, and they also offer internship opportunities as well. And then when I mentioned earlier our collaboration with HBA, HBA is Hirsch, Bettner and Associates, the biggest hospitality design company in the world, with offices in all those major cities worldwide. They also come in, we have a collaboration with them where they send every semester one of their designers to come share their expertise with our students. Also look at the projects our students are working on as well. And we also collaborate with them with regards to what the latest developments in design is in order for us to really offer something unique and contemporary to our students as well. And then we have a collaboration with a company called Silver Fox Studio. They focus mostly on restaurant design. So again, the F&B part. It's one thing to think about what we offer to our guests to eat and consume, but designing that whole visual space and a functional space. And then they also come in, co-teach with us, offer internships as well for our students. And the same at HBA. We've had students doing internships with them as well. And Alesi, the famous, you're all, I'm sure, aware of Alesi, famous Italian design product company, basically focusing on collaborations with various designers throughout the world. And they also come in, teach. We also, in our 3rd year program, we focus a lot on branding and development of luxury products. So this is very applicable as well. And then if you would fly Swiss airline, as many other airlines, you would see this trolley on the aircraft. We have a company called Trolley Iacobusi. They actually started off in Neuchâtel, but they've expanded. Now their headquarters is based in Zurich, and we have a collaboration with them. Our final year students, as part of the project management module, they actually come up with concepts to use the trolley for more than just airline use. So we had a really nice example of a project where a student said, let's think a little bit. What ideas can we come up with? What if we offer a collaboration between Trolley Iacobusi and Nespresso, which is, you know, Nespresso coffee is also a Swiss company. So they designed a Nespresso trolley. So wherever you are, you don't have to go to the kitchen, or if you have guests or you have a conference, just wheel in the trolley and you offer an espresso. So it's kitted out with the machine, sugar, cream, coffee capsules, and even a space to dispose of all your capsules as well. We had a concierge trolley. We had a trolley for jewelry and sunglasses and glasses, or even ties and cufflinks for guys. So really creative ideas. And we have a collaboration with Hyatt as well, co-designing and opportunities also for internships also. And the famous watch companies, we have collaborations with them. Some of the concepts that were really great was even taken back to their head office, and they take some of these concepts which our students provide them, and they implement these ideas as well. So what is unique about IHTTI? We really have a great family atmosphere. We're a relatively small campus, so we really get to know each individual student by name, where there's a big emphasis on personal development. Students are really involved in everything that happens at school. We really listen to our students to see how we can use those ideas to offer them something which they feel comfortable with. We have a really great program, as I said, very unique program. We have great partnerships, accreditations, we offer quality, and also lots of academic support. We have many students who have difficulty with studies, and we support them also to make sure that they succeed in the long run. So for us at IHTTI, it's all about creating a legacy. It's about offering something unique to our students, but in the end, you can also leave a little bit of your story behind there. And we have regular contact with our students from all over the world, many years after graduating. Through social media, we connect very easily, instantaneously, and we know exactly where our students are. And quite often, they would send us messages. The dean of the school gets regular updates. And they ask him also, sir, what do you think about this opportunity? I have 2 opportunities. Which one should I choose? Well, of course, he won't tell them which one, but he guides them into making the right decision in the end as well. We have great success stories, of course, with regards to our alumni. Now, all of these students, I've been at the school since 2008. if I look at these, the girl at the top, Alexandra Felt, Swedish, she was a first year in 2009. So all of these came after Alexandra. Now Alexandra is already, now if she was first year in 2009, 10, 11, 13, most probably she started working there in 2014. She's already the assistant director of sales and revenue at the Lowell Hotel, one of the most luxurious hotels in New York, after about 4-5 years at the most. Harry Gregg from New Zealand is the area marketing manager at the Sofitel Hotels in Cambodia. Harry Gregg graduated 2 years ago. Maurice Fesselet is an interesting story. It's a Swedish student, and his dream was always to go work in China. For a Swedish boy who couldn't speak a word of Mandarin to succeed in China, well, he showed us it's possible. He's now the assistant manager of the Ultraviolet restaurant in Shanghai. Now, the Ultraviolet is one of those sensory experiences where they will use a lot of music and lighting. And one of the, I think it's a 3-star Michelin hotel in Shanghai, which is booked well in advance. And he's now the assistant manager. But, of course, you don't necessarily have to go work in hotels. A local boy from Switzerland, Nico Vugli, is the business development manager at Cambly, which is the biggest biscuit factory in Switzerland. Now you ask yourself, well, how can you do business development? Because we prepare you also the business side of hospitality. You do feasibility studies, you do accounting, managerial accounting, marketing. Alexei from Russia is a duty manager in Reykjavik. Christian Adrian is a Swedish student who is also a great success story. He also graduated in 2015 or 16, I can't remember now. 16. And he's already the assistant manager of the Four Seasons in London. Whereas Vadim is the general manager of the Burj Khalifa's Atmosphere Hotel restaurant. Pascal Miller decided her emphasis would be purely design. After studying with us, she said she wants to focus on pure design. She did an internship at design companies in her second year and after third year as well. And then approached the company in Zurich, who after they saw what she developed, design concepts in school, and her portfolio, she was employed, and she's already now a junior designer at this company, and she graduated last year. Stefano is working at an events company in New York, and Chiara is already general manager at the Scandic Hotel in Stockholm, also graduating in 2016. So this shows you that there's a very fast progression because we prepare our students really well, and they are employable afterwards. So just quickly a few images of the city. Oops, daisy. It's going in the wrong direction. Come on. Sorry, let's just see what's happening here. What I see here and there is not the same. It's going in the wrong direction. Sorry. So just to finish off, our partnerships as well, everything is accredited and well documented, and quality assurance is important to us, of course. And a few more success stories from opening their own businesses, like Blaise had opened a restaurant in Barcelona recently. He started his own new brand and now he's expanded, opening his third one soon. And Philip Schum is working on a cruise ship, and this lady opened her business in Nairobi, Kenya. So diverse student body. The lecturers also come from various nationalities. So as being part of the faculty, for me teaching is not just imparting knowledge to my students, but I also learn a lot from my students. So yes, one big happy family. That's how I would describe IHTTI. So thank you for today, and thank you for the opportunity once more. I hope I ignited this interest in hospitality design within you, and that, remember, the world is your oyster. If you have an idea and a dream, pursue it. But never forget how you make people feel throughout that journey as well. Thank you so much. Is there another class due here now? Not? Good. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free. I'll be around for a while. If you want the business card, I have a few here as well. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.